Hey Thrivers, welcome back. It's a new year, and today I'm starting my videos talking to you guys, okay? I want to talk about how narcissistic mothers with their sons set their sons up to be nice guys that only attract narcissistic women. And I'm going to be honest, sons of narcissistic women, especially when they're the scapegoat, tend to be really nice guys. Now, I'm not talking about the nice guy that sacrifices self. I'm talking about like a genuinely good person, okay? In fact, let's distinguish it. Nice guy and good person, okay? They tend to be really, really good people. They have a really good heart. They have zero desire to hurt anybody. They want to make other people happy. They have amazing qualities. They're very humble. They have a lot of beautiful qualities. However, the narcissistic mother trains their sons to go from being good to being the nice guy that doesn't attract healthy people. And I'm going to talk about why. Okay, so if this is your situation, if you've been in toxic relationship after toxic relationship and you're tired of it, or if you feel like you need to write off women altogether because you seem to be finding the same kind of woman and you think that that's all there is out there, then you're going to want to watch this video. For those that don't know me, my name is Michelle. I'm a life and relationship coach. I'm also the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which is a monthly membership where we meet together live on Zoom and we work through the side effects of narcissistic abuse and complex PTSD together. We are currently closed for enrollment, but in a few months we will be open again. If you want to check out some of our past courses, self-paced video courses, I'll leave the link there for you to check out. Okay, so let's get into how a narcissistic mom takes a good person and turns them into a nice guy that tends to attract narcissistic women. So you think of the dynamics between a narcissistic person. Okay, I'm specifying narcissistic mothers, but they're the same with fathers and whatnot. But for the sake of this video, I am just going to specify it in the form of narcissistic mothers. Okay, but you think of somebody that's high on the scale of NPD. They are the world and you're expected to revolve around them. So imagine a child as they're starting to develop their own independence and they're starting to kind of think for themselves. A narcissistic mother will shame that child anytime the child is thinking of someone other than her. Even if that child is thinking of their own needs, and I'm not talking wants, I'm talking needs. That child is meant to feel bad because unless it's about the narcissistic mom, everything else doesn't matter to the narcissist, right? So a child might love music. Maybe the child's playing with a keyboard. Anytime that child is playing with the keyboard or doing something he loves, the narcissistic mother will make him feel bad about it if he's the scapegoat. And as we know, there is always a scapegoat in the family. So if that son is the scapegoat, then everything he does will be wrong. Anytime he thinks of his own needs, anytime he has a differing opinion, anytime he speaks up for himself, anytime he calls out bad behavior of the narcissistic mom, he will be shamed. Now, in childhood, when a child is shamed for those behaviors, that child, the strategy of the child is to not do anything that will make mom mad. Why? Because not only is it painful to endure the rage of a narcissistic parent, but on top of it, that child knows that their survival is dependent on that parent. And so as a coping skill, survival comes first. Survival trumps happiness. Survival trumps authenticity. And so the child, to survive, starts taking all the things that the parent doesn't like, including the good qualities, like being assertive, being a leader, speaking his mind, having confidence, believing in himself. All of those qualities, if they get in the way of the narcissistic mother controlling that child, anytime the child engages in them, healthy behaviors that child will be punished. Okay, so done over and over and over. We have to understand that children up until the age of 7, they don't have a logical mind online yet. For the first 7 years, all they have is their emotional brain, and everything they learn is kind of getting downloaded into their subconscious. And so the programs that are being learned by a son of a narcissistic mother are never make mom angry, even if it means hurting yourself or suffering. Your suffering doesn't matter as long as mom isn't angry. Never have a different opinion. Having a different opinion means mom's going to get angry and there's going to be rage and it's going to be scary and I can't handle it, right? No child can handle that. Another program that the child learns is that mom's perspective and what mom wants and needs are here and the child is way down here, as well as I'm selfish and bad if I do something I love, if somebody else gets upset, even if they have no reason to be upset. The fact that they get upset means that I did something wrong. Okay, so all of that is downloaded into the narcissistic mother's son, right? So years go by, and now that young boy is a man, and he's going into relationships, and guess what? There are times where he wants to be assertive, but the second he's going to be assertive, it gets uncomfortable. Because the crazy thing about the programs in our subconscious, the man or the boy can grow physically, right? From boy to man, but the subconscious programs, they don't grow with time. And if you learn things on a conscious level, just because you learn on a conscious level that men are allowed to say no, men are allowed to take the lead, men are allowed to be assertive, doesn't mean that that conscious information has penetrated your subconscious programs. So even before getting involved in a relationship, let's say they're starting to get involved in a relationship, they'll do a few things that are the direct result of having been raised by a narcissistic mom. They will be extremely externally focused on what the other person is thinking about them, to the point that they don't often even reflect on, how do I feel about this person? Their thoughts are, does she like me? And without realizing it, the programs in childhood that we learned in our home will often get kicked on in a relationship. So let's say now they're getting to know each other and it's time for him to share his opinion. I want to do this. What do you want to do? The son of a narcissistic parent will tend to always just say, whatever you want to do. Or if they say that they want to do something and the other person just kind of makes a face just thinking about it. Maybe they're not rejecting the idea, but they're just kind of like, they haven't really digested the thought yet. The son of a narcissistic parent will see that expression and it'll like turn something on in his nervous system. So he's like, oh, no, it's okay. We'll do what you want. And that's where a good person, because of trauma, gets shoved into that category of nice guy that sacrifices self for others. And the reason why a healthy person wouldn't be attracted to that, it's not that a healthy person wants the bad boy, wants the bad guy. It's that because the trauma is preventing you from being authentic, right? Because your programs are, you're worried about making the other person upset. You're feeling responsible for the feelings of the other person all the time. You're feeling responsible for every emotional state the other person is in. There's such a fear of being authentic because, and it's understandable, so there's no shame in this, okay? The reason that there's such a fear of authenticity is because in childhood you couldn't be more authentic than when you were a child. All you knew was authenticity. And if a parent broke that, treated that as if it was bad, made you feel as if it was dangerous, that doesn't go away with time. That's the trauma aspect of it. That's the CPTSD recovery part that we all need to go through in order to break out of the dynamics of narcissistic relationships. So a healthy person isn't attracted to that, again, because it's not authentic. They can feel it. And it's almost like the healthy person brings something to the table. Like if there's a preference, what do you like? Oh, I like this. I want to do that. But the other person, if they've been pushed into that nice person spectrum, right, because of trauma, they're always just agreeing with what you want to do, all to avoid fighting and problems. That was a coping skill in childhood that was very effective, but it is super maladaptive in adulthood because it winds up pushing away healthy people, and it winds up attracting the very kind of person that caused you to have the trauma in the first place. A narcissist, a female narcissist, loves that kind of person. Oh, you don't care about you, you care about me? Check. A female narcissist loves that. Oh, my perspective matters and yours doesn't? Check. You want to be responsible for my feelings? Check. Okay, so I'm making this video because I know there are a lot of good guys, good individuals that unfortunately grew up with a narcissistic mother, and they were conditioned to be shoved into that nice person role. And that term nice person is basically saying that you do anything and everything to make other people happy and you don't matter. So when we enter the world and we enter relationships with the mentality, you matter, I don't, we attract a narcissist that says, you don't matter, I do. Or if we wind up in a healthy relationship, we can accidentally train somebody to not respect and see our worth by constantly sacrificing self to the degree that you're giving 150 and the other person little by little is giving barely anything at all. Okay, so I want to make this video because just because that happened, just because you were shoved into that role, right? You went from good person, and by the way, you still are a good person, right? But you were conditioned to have certain coping skills that put you in that category of nice guy. You can overcome that. And the way you overcome that is working through your nervous system, breaking the paired associations that were established in childhood, and learning how to feel safe being your authentic self.